Just imagine in a dark basement a group of domestic terrorists are planning an attack against innocent American civilians. Then before they know it, their doors are kicked down and they're swarmed by FBI agents. Their plans of murder against the United States has been effectively stopped. Hello everybody, I'm Todd Nelsn, and today I will talk to you about the benefits of the Patriot Act, some of the methods that are used, and some of the plots that have been stopped as a direct result of the act. We'll start with what the mission of the Patriot Act is and what some of the measures that it allows law enforcement agencies to do. The purpose of the Patriot Act was to loosen the restrictions that law enforcement agencies had in obtaining information on suspected terrorists. Most of these methods had already existed, but agencies were not allowed to use them to prevent terrorism. The Patriot Act was voted in by Congress and the Senate and signed into law by former President George W. Bush on October 26, 2001, as a direct result of the terrorist attacks that occurred on September 11, 2001. Some of the measures that the Patriot Act allows agencies to use are surveillance against suspected terrorists. It allows the use of roving wiretaps, allows delayed notification of warrants, and allows access to business records. Now what some of that means is roving wiretaps, if there's a suspected terrorist and they obtain his phone number and they start wiretapping it, today they've learned that terrorists are swapping phones all the time. So instead of that wiretap being limited to one phone number, it's good for any phone number that this terrorist used. And they can also tap any incoming phone call numbers and any outgoing phone numbers that the terrorist may be calling. Notifications of a warrant, that means to wiretap these phones, they still have to obtain a warrant from a federal judge, but now they don't have to notify that individual right away. So they can be wiretapping somebody for months or years, gathering information, and not even have to notify him that they're wiretapping him, so that they can collect enough information, then notify him and make an arrest. And now the access to business records, what that means is they're also trying to track to see how terrorists are getting funding and getting their money. So if you're being watched and they're looking at your bank account and they see lots of money coming in, they can trace it, and if it's going back to a business, then they know that there may be like a hidden business that terrorists are using as a front to fund terrorist attacks. Another thing that the Patriot Act does is it enhanced information sharing between agencies. Before, there was lots of laws that prevented law enforcement agencies, intelligence agencies, and national defense agencies from sharing information. And what the Act did is it took away all those restrictions so that any agency can share information that may prevent a terrorist attack or find a suspected terrorist. And this really allows all the agencies to connect the dots by sharing all their information. They can put these pieces of the puzzle together and figure out what's going on. Now that I've told you what the Patriot Act is, let's go over some of the potential terrorist acts that have been prevented due to the Act. Now I got all this information from the Heritage Foundation from their website, heritage.org, and according to them, there have been 50 known terrorist attacks that have been prevented due to the Patriot Act. Now I remind you that the 50 acts are the only ones that they know about. Now there may have been more, but due to national security, the government may not have released those yet. The first one, in February 2012, Amin Khalifah was arrested. He planned to attack the U.S. Capitol. He was arrested with guns and a bomb in his car, and they caught him because they received a tip from one of his friends that he had been asking around wanting to meet Al-Qaeda members because he was wanting to do an attack. So what the FBI did was they sent an agent undercover who pretended to be an Al-Qaeda operative. They sold him guns and a bomb, and then after he purchased it, then they arrested him with those items in his vehicle. Now it's good to note that the guns and the bombs that they sold him would never have worked. They had already been made so that the guns wouldn't fire or the bomb wouldn't detonate. The next one was in September 2009. Hossam Hussein Samadi was arrested when he wanted to blow up a skyscraper in downtown Dallas. And he was found because the FBI was monitoring an extremist chat room on the internet. And once again, they sent another FBI agent undercover as an Al Qaeda operative. They sold him a fake bomb, and then he was arrested. Now that you know what the Patriot Act is, it's a measure that allows information sharing and allows law enforcement agencies, FBI, intelligence groups to do roving wiretaps, delayed notifications of warrants, and to access business records, and some of the 50 known attacks that it has prevented. Hopefully you'll feel like I do, that the Patriot Act is not a loss of liberties, but a tool to keep us safer. Thank you.